Hi, my name's Rocio. For my multi-draft project I read the book Titanic First Accounts by Tim Malton. Tim Malton doesn't really show an argument. He just decides to show the accounts that happened that night based on living survivors that he interviewed in his past or right after, in the past before the survivors had died. He decided to use not just the interviews, but also parts of books. There was two authors that lived through that tragic accident. From one of them was Archibald Gracie. He used like 4 chapters of his book about the experience he lived trying to get out and trying to survive. He also used Lawrence Beasley's The Loss of the Titanic. He used his chapter 4, how Lawrence struggled to survive because he wasn't able to escape in a lifeboat like many others. He had to swim to one until he was finally rescued. But unlike him, others weren't really able to survive because the lifeboats were getting too full that they were starting to sink in and lower level in the water. So they all say their experience of how they still see it even though it's after he interviewed them, it had been a few years. And after he interviewed them, they said that they still feel like if it was just yesterday with the experience. He also interviewed some people that worked in the boat, and they said that they could see everybody had the chance to escape. Many people decided to stay behind and let children and women survive first. And so he basically just gives them the priority. He never puts his point. So I say my author would be fair instead of biased. He never puts his critique what they're saying or anything. He just writes down based on what they were saying.
Hi, my name is Mannion. For my writing assignment for my English 103 class, I read the book My Bloody Life: The Making of Latin King by Raimundo Sanchez. And the first part of the writing assignment, I had to write 2 different paragraphs describing 2 central arguments made by the author. The first paragraph was informal, and the second one was formal. And for my second part, I summarized the book. And for the third part, I decided if the author was being biased or not. And then for the last part, I stated if I agree with what the writer was stating in his book. And the book was about a kid that was left alone by his parents pretty much in Chicago. He got involved in a lot of gangs, and his life was just so crazy. But at the end, he learned the real reasons of gangs and how gangs are used by other people to make a lot of money out of it by selling drugs and vice versa. And yeah, that was my book.
Hello, my name is Karen, and I'm doing a research paper for my English class. In the research paper, there's 4 parts to it. The first part is to find 2 arguments of the book. In the second part, you have to summarize the book. The third part, you have to determine if the author was being biased or not. And in the fourth part, you have to agree or disagree with the author's argument. In my book, Perfection, A Memorial of Betrayal and Renewal by Julia Mitz, it's about Julia finding her husband cheating on her. Her husband dies before she figures out that he was cheating on her, but throughout her life, she tries to restart her life, but in the middle, she figures out that her husband had been cheating with her with 4 or 5 women. So she was determined to figure out who they were and where they came from. But then she just keeps on going with her life with her daughter. She tries to start again by dating other men, and she doesn't really know how to date again. So she starts talking with one of her friends, and he advises her to take some steps in her life before she lets the man meet the girl. And after a while, she just travels around the country and she gets married again with. At the end, she gets married with Willie because she decides that it was the best for her. The author is being somewhat biased, somewhat not, because she kind of puts her own feelings about how her husband had cheated on her and how she wanted to kind of talk to the people that cheated on that cheated on her. And then she's not being biased because she kind of is fair to her to see who they were and what they had done to her in her life.